Our region is EU.
Europe.
The European Union.
You may have heard about the 2016 EU exodus.
Yellow Star's gone.
Florin is gone.
No more Gambit.
We hate to see you go.
We've had some good times.
We will miss you.
But not too much.
Because EU is resilient.
We've been here before.
People have left.
I've done it. But we survived.
And we prospered.
Remember, EU is where this competition started.
Forget the skeptics. Look for those who believe in you.
Our fans are great.
From Berlin
to Madrid
to Paris.
And everywhere in between.
We are not down on ourselves in Europe.
You're not talking about ancient history.
2 of the top 4 teams in the world last year were from Europe.
EU beat Taiwan.
EU beat China.
EU crushed NA. EU beat Korea.
Whoa, not yet.
That gives us something to look forward to.
Something to work towards.
Don't doubt us. We've been doubted before.
The perfect split, 18-0.
Splice.
G2 Esports.
Giants.
Elements.
Vitality.
Unicorns of Love.
Rockets.
H2K. Origin. Fnatic.
We're back and we're ready to sell the world.
Welcome to the European League Championship Series, coming to you live from our home base here in Berlin, Germany. Today marks the start of the 2016 season and the first step on the long, long road to the Summoners Cup. As you can see, everybody here in the battle arena is absolutely fired up for our first game day of the EU LCS 2016, and their origin with Power of Evil in their ranks. That is a interesting sight, and he will put while all the action in place in the very first game of the day as they are up against Fnatic. What a test, a revamped lineup or something to be wary of nonetheless, and what a way to start the season. I'm Evie Schok supporter, glad to be back behind the analyst desk where I'm joined by James Stress O'Leary, Mitch Kreppel-Voorspoels and Richard Polskam to break down all of the opening day action. We have a lot to talk about. It is a new year and we've got some new teams joining the league alongside the 7 organizations returning to the stage. A lot of new teams, and one of those new lineups with some familiar players is Vitality, a possible super team here in Europe.
Yeah, looking strong, honestly, with the new roster coming in. I think buying the Gambit spot overall, and that is definitely a team you have to watch out for amongst maybe the Origin and maybe later the H2K. We'll touch on that a little later.
Yeah, and we're also going to be joined by Splice as well, who came into the LCS as Dignitas EU after they beat Mouse Sports in the CS finals. And then following that, they were bought by Follow Esports, who then rebranded into Splice. So TLDR, same lineup apart from the jungle, but a different name and a different org.
Yeah, and then finally, Ocelot's team, G2 Esports, formerly known as Gamers2, but we have to call them G2 Esports right now. They made it in within the promotion tournament, ironically against Ocelot's very own SK Gaming, so that was a little bit of a grudge match, but they made it in. They made some changes to the lineup too, and they're looking to become, I think, a middle-of-the-pack team is their best hope here in the LCS.
We will see, because of course you have the bunch of organizations still in here. Fnatic, Elements, Giants, H2K, OG, the Unicorns of Love, and Roccat. They're all back, but they might not be the lineups that we remember. A lot has been going on in the preseason, and one of the teams we've definitely been looking at is H2K in terms of maybe coming out of the preseason with the best lineup.
Yeah, I think in general our complete consensus as a broadcast team is that H2K did very, very well. And Kreppel, I know there are certain pickups that they did in the off-season that you're very excited to see back in the LCS.
We were basically ranking which team has won the off-season, and for me it's between H2K and Vitality. The only thing that I think Vitality, that H2K rather may lack is the shot calling later on. Here we see already the Vitality roster, but just to touch a little bit on H2K, I'm just a little worried about Vander and Janka's being able to do the late game shot calling, so I really hope Odawamna brings that home. But in this roster right here, Vitality, then it's Kasing. He has to drive that roster, but also a wealth of talent between Shook, Kabashard, and Nukeduck. A lot of those really good mechanical players, but in a meta that constantly keeps evolving, people have to keep adapting. We need that shot calling, and then I'm looking at Kasing.
And that's the key to me, though, is that mechanical skill opens up the skill ceiling. They're a very young team with each other, but I think they've got a long way to go in this spring split.
Yeah. Talking about teams that might not have had the best, performance on the transfer market, if we call it that, is Roccat.
Yeah, like you look at those two teams, and those two are great examples of teams who've done really well in the offseason. Roccat, you can argue, are one of the losers because they lost their core. Nukeduck, Jankos, Vanda, they lost their core of the lineup. Then you look at all these players, and they're basically untested, one as a group, and two didn't perform that well in their own respective teams.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. A lot of changes, and with all those revamped rosters, we want to know who you thought made the superior changes in the preseason. Send your thoughts at LOL Esports and use the hashtag EULCS. Shiny new thing.
Shiny new hashtag.
Yeah.
They get new players, we get a new hashtag.
Yeah, we're happy with that over here in EU. Well, we'll get our first glimpse of these teams in just a few minutes as Europe's two world semi-finalists go head-to-head in our game of the week. Fnatic versus Origin kicks it all off.
That's a pretty hype game, and then after that, the brand new Element squad take to the Rift against G2 Esports, and later on, we'll see the newcomers Splice taking on a revamped Unicorns of Love.
A lot of revamped rosters and also some changes in the rule set. First off, just like last year, the spring split will be a best-of-1 round robin over 9 weeks where every team will play each other twice, and then the top 6 teams will play out a single elimination bracket in the spring playoffs where one will be crowned the champion.
As with last year as well, it's also championship points that these teams are playing for. They're going to be awarded based off playoff results. We'll send one team to Worlds at the end of the season. Keep in mind, that's exactly how H2K made it to Worlds last year, taking that 3rd seed from Europe.
Well, on the other side of the coin, we have the bottom 3 teams. They will have to fight to defend their spot in the LCS against the top 2 Challenger Series teams in the summer promotion tournament, and that's an interesting change.
Yeah, so that means there is no auto-promotion relegation this year. Last year, the 10th place team automatically got relegated into the Challenger. This year, it's different. The first match that will be played is the 10th place LCS team against the 2nd place Challenger team. From then on, we reach a double elimination 4-team bracket, which means it just guarantees that the 2 best teams will make it into the LCS again, and we get the best quality of teams that we can possibly get representing Europe as a whole and hopefully make the region stronger.
Yeah, we'll see what
Even
happens.
stronger.
Even stronger. That's a good adaptation there. Well, a lot has changed in the teams, but a lot has changed in the meta, honestly, as well. Last time we saw the highest level of professional play was at Worlds 2015. Today, we're playing on patch 6.1. A lot of changes we'll see pan out on the Rift, but you guys wanted to look at some specific champions that you're excited for.
Yeah, I'm looking at the reworked Poppy, mostly in the support role because she offers 2 unique abilities. Basically, her W, as you can see right here on the screen, cancels gap closers, and a lot more than you would initially think of. Rek'Sai tunnels, you have Rengars leaping in, so many abilities that are very fundamental to the metagame right now. You can block only as Poppy with that W. Then the ultimate that you see on your screen can turn a Titan team fights. 5v5, nope, Poppy knocks 3 people back, that becomes a 2v5. You jump on those guys, then you win team fight, or you just set up some combos with a little tap there. So unlimited amount of possibilities, and when it comes to supporting, whoever knows, if you know Poppy support better than your opponent, you can open up for so many plays, and I'm just wondering if any of these players have picked it up on a secret smurf, maybe on their main, just have it ready for the LCS.
Yeah, and this one makes me personally very happy. Alistair coming back into the top lane. He kind of goes through stints of being really good. Like Season 1, we had Suche going huge on that, then he came back top lane. And now once again, with the Frost Queens coming in, allows him to get in range so we can actually combo. Also gives him a really nice power spike early on and solves a lot of his mana issues. And when he gets in range to combo, he also has Thunderlord's Decree, so he just pops them super quickly, and his combo is very easy to get off with his passive coming in.
Yeah, and the most important part about that passive is that obviously it ignores unit collision, so you have a Hecarim-esque type of top laner with a ridiculous amount of burst damage with the Thunderlord's proc on top of that, so I like Pulse's choice here.
Yeah, and it just makes it like very good into certain matchups, like Irelia, like Malphite. You can just walk up slowly, down smash, knock them away, and there's nothing they can do.
What I will say, though, is I'm expecting to see probably Alistair a little bit more support. Supports have got a very different idea of what exactly is strong right now. I know that we've seen people doing it in solo queue in Challenger, so it's possible. I don't think it's too likely. Poppy, I think, is quite likely, and
Definitely.
from somewhat likely to almost certain. Kindred in the jungle, perhaps AD carry. We've seen Niels do it before. Kindred came out a long time ago, halfway through Worlds, but this is the first time we're seeing Kindred in the EU LCS regular season. That's why I'm bringing it up. And, you know, we've seen the Kindred play just in general at IEM just do so well, and especially with what looks to be an evolving double AD carry meta with Kindred and Graves out of the jungle, perhaps a mid laner from Corki. I'm expecting a lot of priority on Kindred, especially in the bans phase. They're very strong right now.
Yeah, we will see what happens. A lot of changes, and we're all primed. It's time to get into our first clash of 2016. So let's send it over to the caster desk for a look at that matchup.
Thank you very much, Shocks. I'm Devin Pyrotangus Young, but I'm here with the man who fires him faster than Jin. It's Trevor Quickshot Henry, and the caster whose name means fail, but he never does. It's Martin DeFicio Linga, and we have a rematch of the Summer 2015 Finals.
Dude, that game went all the way to 5. Both Fnatic and Origin made semi-finals at Worlds last year. But this is a different time. It's a different year. Fnatic, they have to rebuild their roster once again. Origin, they've just made that one change. So there's a lot to talk about and look at for both of these squads.
Origin is basically the winner of the offseason without really doing too much. Just add in a mid laner. We knew Pega had talked about potentially stepping down. He's still there. He's a sub for the team. He can always step in if needed. For now, though, it is Power Vivo playing as expected. Fnatic, on the other hand, a lot of changes again. Daylor is the only man left. If we look at the coaching staff behind him, Ispa, the manager, is left. He's gone to H2K. The analyst has gone to Team Solo Mid. So a lot of changes for Fnatic. We need to see Fibivin and Reckless really take on more of the shot calling role, the leader role maybe, because they're more the veterans now, at least for the EU LCS.
Exactly. I mean, we'll have to see if they're able to step up and say what they do what they said they were going to do. So, lining up for Fnatic, looking to defend their European LCS title. It is, of course, Gamsu in the top lane, Spirit in the jungle, Febivin in the mid, AD carry Reckless, support coming in, Noxiac, and of course, their coach, Daylor.
And for the second year in a row, Fnatic have turned to a duo import Korean player style with Spirit and Gamsu. Last year, there was a lot of eyebrows raised when you were looking at Huni and Rainover, and how fantastic did that decision turn out to be? Top 4 at Worlds, 2 titles in the EU LCS. There's a lot of pressure, I think, on Gamsu and Spirit to replicate, but it's going to be in a very different style.
It is very different style. Spirit is really the hard carry jungler. Or at least if we look at the last year when he played for World Elite, he was the carry jungler. Before that, however, on Samsung Blue, he was playing more supportive style, counter-ganking a lot more. If he can go back to that style, and if Gamsu can step up and become a carry, they might be able to play the style we saw last year with the carry top laner, more supportive jungler. Otherwise, they need to adapt. They need to change. They do have time. It is not so important for Fnatic to win the first game or the second game. It's about getting ready for playoffs. And after playoffs, it's getting ready for summer split, so you can become a world-class team towards the end of this year when it all matters.
Right, bright things on the horizon, that's what they're hoping, but right now, zeroing in on this game today, they are going to be up against a team with only one roster change, also semifinalist. It is Origin. That means Soaz is in the top lane, jungler amazing, mid, no longer Peke, it's Power of Evil, AD carry Sven, previously known as Niels, of course, and their support Mithy with Coach Hazel.
Yeah, new coach coming for the team, more of a life coach. He has a lot of experience outside of the game, working with like different kinds of sports for multiple years actually. So he has some experience. He can go in here, he can help the team obviously, you know, in terms of communication, schedule and everything outside of the game itself. Power Evil, however, is the guy we want to look at because he's the new guy in the lineup. He's the guy who came from Unicorns of Love where he was the star player on that team. Can he be the same for Origin?
Well, for Power of Evil, you know, he won as many games for UOL as he also lost because there was some questionable decisions, some, you know, Smite Kale, Smite Orianna, it led to a pentakill. One thing I'm excited about is seeing how well and how stable PoE is going to perform when the rest of the ancillary players are at a more stable level, because what we did see from UOL is very high highs, very low lows. Origin were pretty consistent through the majority of the summer split, and I want to see just how much Power Evil can shine with all these other stars and all these other stable players around him.
And I think the important thing you just mentioned is consistency. Unicorns of Love was a team with very poor communication, often seemed to lack a game planning game, and then it becomes very difficult to be consistently good because, again, you don't know really what's going to happen around you. Teams will camp you, or maybe you play some weird champions from time to time as well, and it leads to up and down performances.
Yeah.
Origin is a team with a lot more stable communication. Amazing and Mithy are the backbone on this lineup here. They will take the information you give them. They will draft a game plan in-game. That should help Power of Evil. As long as he plays well on his own, because we know he has good mechanics.
Yeah.
the rest of the team will back him up and tell him where to go.
Right, and this is an ability for them to have a player that will slot in. As Peke just kind of filled a utility role in the last year, it shouldn't be that big of a difference. We already saw his performance at IEM San Jose, and I really think that this is such a great pickup for them. Everyone's saying Origin made the smallest changes, but the most significant changes. Everyone expects them to be not just number one, but easily a huge representative come Worlds even, already calling it.
And the thing is, that actually puts more pressure on these guys, right? When you look last year, I think there was a lot of fan expectations on Origin's shoulders coming out of Challenger scene, expecting them to, Goomba stomp their way through the LCS, and, for the most part, they did. And then they stomped through Worlds. Like, this is a team that's been on the up and up. And the expectation is that they're going to win again.
Stomped through Worlds?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, made
all the way to the
four.
semifinals.
They did.
Right?
They made top four.
Let's be fair. They had a fantastic showing in their first World Championship.
But they also
And
lost to
there
the
was some
winners,
ups
too.
and downs. You look at Fnatic. When you look at this squad, now all of a sudden they have to replicate the magic. They lost their players. They lost their core carries. They've lost like a manager in ISPA. They've lost an analyst. Just a quick update, guys. There is an audio issue on stage, which they're working through now, which is why we're talking a little bit more before picks and bans. But imagine being in Noxiac's shoes, having to replace Yellowstar, the captain, the face of Fnatic for 2015. It's a tough task.
The two members we question a little bit, Noxiac and Gamzu, are the two players filling the biggest slots, basically. Because Huni as well, in-game performance, it was a lot about getting Huni ahead in the early game. He drew a lot of bans as well. And of course the fans loved him because of his personality. Now Gamzu sitting in there had not a great year in North America, I think it's fair to say. I also do not think he really had the chance to shine too much on the Dickinson's lineup because they couldn't really enable him. Again, they were very inconsistent in their performance. He played more different champions than Huni, who was very focused on the carry style. Gamzu can play tanks, he can play supports, he can play carries as well if needed. We saw Hecarim and Jarvan coming in and so on, where full damage basically. It's about finding the style that fits for him.
And the rest of the team.
And the rest of the team, because he's against some good top laners here in Europe.
Well, and it just goes to show how many question marks there are on this squad as a whole, that this is the first time in about 6 or 7 months that Fnatic is going up against somebody whom they're not favored.
I think that's actually a very good point. And the main thing is, how well are they prepared? Right? IAM Cologne was a showing for Fnatic that was okay. I think they were gifted moments in games and they made some poor decisions. But that is a testimony to how new and how fresh the squad was.
It was a test run.
Went over to Christmas, went over New Year's Eve, New Year's break and whatnot. And now I want to see who's coming in more prepared because like Tefisho says, it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not about winning your first 2, 3, 4, 5 games. It's about winning playoffs. Getting those championship points at the end. So let's see how much they can learn and adapt from week to week.
But for Origin, at least, the first 2 weeks here, they're playing Fnatic, they're playing H2K, and Vitality.
What does that mean, Tefisho? Because we've not seen them.
Well, that's the team we expect to be up in the top 4 at least. So if Origin comes in and they start slow, drop the first game to Fnatic, which would be a surprise, but if it happens, and we know Origin has not been practicing too much because they had some internet issues in the gaming house. They've only been practicing since Saturday. So I'm not expecting them to come in and show like the world's performance just yet. That gives an opening to Fnatic. And also means for Origin, if they start losing some of these first games against the top teams, then suddenly, again, you might fall further down the rankings than you expected. But they should obviously make it back to top 6, top 3 or whatever and get into playoffs, which is the key thing for both teams.
Right, and I don't think either of these squads, especially Origin with the veteran presence that they have in almost all the roles now, is really going to be a team that will tilt off of 1 or 2 losses, that will fall a little bit further down the rankings.
Be fine.
Even though they're going up against what we perceive to be some of the strongest teams in Europe right now, they should have no trouble bouncing back, even in a rare loss.
Yeah, of course, for both of these squads, starting to build dynasties in Europe, last year was all about success for Origin, for Fnatic. They've won 5 out of 6 European LCS split championships, and this is going to be another testament. How good is the support staff behind the players? Because we know they've taken also a bit of a hit, and we know just how much work Dale put in last year in terms of getting the guys' mindset in the right place, getting their preparation and their training.
So Dale definitely had some great help last year. I trust in Fnatic as an organization, though, to find people, again, who are very good, who can help him. New analysts coming in, new manager as well. So I don't think it's going to be the end of the world for Fnatic as a team. They've lost some of these guys. A great franchise will always be able to replace members and then keep being a top team. And that's obviously what Fnatic is aiming for. Noxiac is one of the guys we do have a question mark, or we put a question mark there. I still think that he's going to be good enough.
I think so too, but I think the big thing about Noxiac is Sven's given a little bit of the eyebrow wiggle. Look at him. He's been a guy that's not had a chance to really shine. He's been on sinking ships up until this point. Like, this is his big shot.
Yeah, for sure.
We're talking Noxiac.
Noxiac.
Oh, we're going Sven.
No. Sven was just smiling to the camera and distracting everybody.
No, but you're right, because Noxiac last year, he came in and played for MYM when they were basically already relegated. And he still managed to win 4 games for the team, and he was honestly a carry support. Like, he was making big plays. He has the mechanics. He needs the game knowledge. He needs to be a leader as well if he wants to fill the shoes of Yellowstar, and that's the big one.
Well, he's got the mechanics. I want to see him play Poppy. The players are slowly getting closer to the picks and bans. We are playing on patch 6.1. Keep that in mind. And we heard the analysts talking about some of the champions. Pulse has a penchant for unique champions. AP Nautilus was one of his favorites last year.
And it was awful.
It was awful. It lost us a lot of games. But to talk about what we're expecting, we actually don't know, because there's a lot of champions that are very good. There is a priority list, but the meta has not necessarily stabilized yet. It's a new year, new league, new players, and we need to figure out what really is going to be S tier.
You can be 100% sure that none of the teams have figured out perfectly how to play this patch in this new meta. Rift Herald is obviously in there. Not expecting to see too much, a lot of action around it, because it's not really worth it. You take a lot of damage dealing, or you take a lot of damage when you take it. The buff as well to the minions is fairly small. So I'm not expecting a lot of focus around that. But when it comes to some of these top picks you're talking about, again, there's a massive list. Every team is probably different. Some teams will have, of course, I think all the teams will probably agree on Lulu Gangplank, and then add in a Rise up there. But then some teams will put Lissandra super high. Another team might put up a Kindred as one of the absolute top picks. Then Lucian now is an AD carry that MF has been nerfed. Corki as well can be played in 2 roles. Like, there's so many different picks. The only thing every team can agree on is that flex picking is very, very strong at the moment. There's some double AD carries coming in. We have Lissandra, Rise, and so on, and go to 2 lanes.
Yeah, champs like mind games are always going to be something that's in favor. But you're right about the meta. It's going to take a few weeks before that kind of thing stabilizes on the average. Just getting patch 6.1. Yeah, it's much more minor compared to some of the earlier patches that we had towards the end of this last year. But the teams are still trying to figure it out, trying to see what the strongest compositions that they're going to have in Europe, and we're going to eventually form our own meta out of that.
Yeah, and I absolutely love something that Papa Smithy actually said in the LCK broadcast earlier this week, where he's talking about how every single game is basically its own meta, because certain teams prioritize certain champions. And as more and more games get played and there's more matches to watch, then you start to learn and figure it out. And in the jungle, the Rek'Sai, Kindred, Mundo, Elise, Graves. We saw Graves in LPL.
Yeah, that's happening.
So we're seeing these variations and these variables. That will also depend on player preference, because I've never heard pros ever completely, absolutely agree that this one champion is absolutely beyond doubt, other than Mordekaiser last year. But there's a lot of varying, varying opinions when you have these new patches and these new implemented systems in the game.
Well, I do know of one thing that is still considered universally strong, and that's the oft-mentioned Thunderlords. So we expect to see that quite a lot today.
Yeah, Thunderlord.
But there's more options than 6.1.
That's true. They did buff a lot of other stuff.
Thunderlord is still fantastically strong. Yeah. And has been for like for the last few patches we've seen. Almost every single champion wants to get it. AD carries can pick it up. Great burst, mid laners, and so on and so on. Yes, there are some new keystones. Storm Raider Surge is one I'm looking at. 75% slow resistance. I think that's got to be super strong on specific champions. I'm not sure if their players want to pick it up yet, though. Maybe they want more time to practice with it before they want to pull it on the LCS.
Right. Well, with that, we're going into picks and bans. Thanks for bearing with us through all of that. First matchup, Fnatic versus Origin. Let's see how these guys do.
And straight out the gate, some of the priority picks that we've seen from LCK and LPL, even though they're 524, likes of Rise, likes of Lucian, likes of Kindred, if you wanted to go that route, depending on what Amazing or Spirit want to play. I'd like it if Spirit maybe didn't play Nidalee.
Please no.
I don't
there are
think
better options.
That's what I think. But Spirit, he really liked that Cougar.
Hey, I Am Cologne was probably comfort picks for Fnatic more than anything. Now they had more time to practice, getting used to the meta. So far, no surprises. We talked about how strong Kindred can be. We know Lulu and Gangplank. I expect the Gangplank to come in from Origin as a ban, potentially Rise as well, so they don't risk that first pick for Fnatic. But then, of course, it opens up for other picks, like Lissandra can be first pick. Great flex pick coming in. Graves Jungle, not necessarily a first pick, but can they come in the next rotation? And it's flex picking. It is so hard to guess where you're sending these champions. Poppy's going to be there, Trundle, Mundo, I can keep going, Shen. There's so many good picks.
There's so many things left on the board, but what they do take away is that cast in, so that won't be an option on that side. A little bit later scaling AP. The Tam Kench is also banned away, so for all of you hoping for him to be on bench, not this time around.
Someone played top lane in LCK as well.
And it's good.
And very good.
It is very good.
Corki's still up, so the Rise is gone. So 80 carry still available. We're not too surprised at the
Predicted the Origin ban.
Well, okay, so Defisher predicting Gamsu's first pick.
He's going to lock in Lissandra. It's going to be his first pick, or at least jungle.
Well, let's find out.
Oh, no. You don't need to first pick that just yet.
Well, wait, there's still some... He did!
He did!
Okay.
It's Poppy!
All right. And there's a Lissandra after that.
We got the Lissandra and Origin side, so I'll take half a point for that one.
You can't avoid yourself points.
I'll get the points for that one. Thank you very much,
Can
guys.
I take a vote on this one, maybe?
Poppy first pick. I mean, we know it's insanely strong. It was strong on 524 as well. LCK wanted, to show some of it. Didn't get to see a whole lot from it.
Earlier today, it was played top lane.
In LPL.
I know you weren't a massive fan. All of the expectation is in that support role because of the versatility of that W and the ability to change team fights. But I don't know. Where is it going to go? In theory, it could still be a flex.
But that's a beauty, right? Yeah. It's a flex pick that can go into 3 different roles at the moment. Top lane, jungle, and support. I think it's better in jungle and support. But again, it also depends on what Origin is picking now. A support like Trundle does really well in lane against Poppy. So if that gets locked in for Mithy later on, maybe you move the Poppy to jungle lane or to top lane, depending on it. Again, that's the beauty of the flex picks. Lucian, though, is another one we talked about. Misfortune has been nerfed. Obviously, he in 6.1 lost a lot of damage on Make It Rain. So Lucian bumps up as one of the best AD carries.
We're getting a little ahead of ourselves in the AD carries. Amazing got that Lee Sin lock-in, so that's still a safe and standard pick. He's definitely going to want to pressure early. We know Amazing that is going to be one of his fortes here. But Spirit is also a hyper-aggressive jungler, especially if he does pick up that Nidalee. We could expect to be in for a bloodbath.
Don't jinx it, man.
I'm kind of keeping it all gates, all options are open here. This is not going to happen.
I don't blame you. We know Spirit.
I still have repressed memories from IEM Cologne, guys.
They should pick the AD carry for sure. Again, you don't want to show where you're sending Poppy just yet. So I like this from Fnatic because notice they picked the 2 lanes where Poppy does not fit into. AD carry and mid lane. So again, they're sticking to the flex picking style, making sure they can get some counter picks or at least one counter pick coming in. Also, it's very stable picks. Lucian, as I mentioned, is going to be one of the best AD carries, can lane into anything. LeBlanc was buffed here in 6.1 as well. The chain is now faster, so she is a very good pick, and we know it's a comfort pick for Fibna.
Let's find out. Origin,
they've
got a lot of options, but we did talk quite a lot about double AD carry comps and the potential of that being a thing. Ezreal was one of those cores, maybe along with Corki and Lucian, the impact that they can have as well.
Yeah, I think Origin might stick to a pick composition. If we look at the first 2 picks, at least set up perfectly for it. And the game evolves a lot around 1v1ing, 2v2ing, like laning phase is very important right now because again you get more gold in the early game by getting down these towers, so it's more important to have a strong early to mid game. So far it fits in perfectly for them. The blue build Ezreal is one that's getting hyped up quite a bit from solo queue, and it fits so nicely into these conversations with a lot of skirmish because you can handle yourself. You can kite back with Iceborne Gauntlet, you can chase targets down. So a lot of single target focus from Origin side, a lot of pick potential with the next 2 picks as well.
That's what I was just going to ask you there. How does the Ezreal slot into it? The Trundle is definitely a little more obvious, being able to slow people down and interrupt with the pillar as well. You can stop the Lucian's culling.
I think also Origin is trying to push the Poppy away from support. Highlighted before how Trundle in the lane does really well against Poppy because it's very hard to trade into Trundle with his Q. You can steal some AD there. You basically have to one-shot his AD carry, but the AD carry is often sitting out in the middle of the lane, so it's hard to get the Poppy stun on the AD carry into the wall and kill them. I want to see if Noxic wants to take the lane anyway, or if they are going to move it to jungle.
Yeah, and here's the other question too. I know this is a little bit less likely, but what's the possibility we see Ezreal go to the mid lane instead? Power of Evil take that and go AP.
Well, Pyra, the beauty of flex picks is the chance there. Depends on the picks they see.
Hey, we're going to have a bouncy game.
Zac and Olaf.
Olaf top, Zac, jungle.
Jungle, Poppy support still?
Poppy support remains. So he takes it again. It's not like the lane matchup is impossible for him to play in any way, so it's okay for Fnatic to take this one. Lucian does really well into Ezreal as well, especially in the early levels where Ezreal wants to get tier, wants to stack it up. He's fairly weak the first 20 minutes in that sense, where Lucian can be a big bully, especially once he gets a BF sword. So I think Fnatic is making the right choice in keeping Poppy as support. We agree in the office, at least, that's the strongest role for her. So I like that.
Let's find out once they swap around. But for Fnatic, a weird and wonderful composition coming straight out the gates, but I like it into the options that Origin have put forward. Zach's range, LeBlanc's ability to distort and move around, and of course Olaf can just completely disregard any of the CC you're going to put down. If Fnatic get a chance to run at Origin, I think they can do very well. But I'm also nervous for their composition if they fall behind, because a lot of those tools are reliant on having that advantage.
Right, and they have a lot of gap close on their side. For the other hand, though, Origin have some really good, I don't say disengage, but counter-engage. The Orion is always a safe pick. You have a good ball delivery system in Lissandra and Lee Sin now. And I think that if Fnatic don't watch themselves, they could get 100-0 pretty quickly.
Origin has a lot of options in what they've been building here. Again, you can kite back with Orianna and the blue build Ezreal, which we expect to come out from Sven here. Also, Trundle is fantastic at setting up kites with the pillar, super annoying to play against. And then, as you mentioned, they have the chance to turn it around. Lissandra comes in, one target gets stunned, Lee Sin falls in, Shockwave and everything, and instantly Reckless or Febvin goes down. So a lot of good different options. Also, obviously, Ezreal is one of the champions who can escape from the Poppy W, because it is a blink he's E, therefore it doesn't get interrupted.
Luckily for Fnatic, there's a lot of magic damage on the side of Origin, so they can prioritize some MR, and that's definitely going to help against those team fights.
Now, without further ado, it's time to load up onto Summoner's Rift and kick off the 2016 LCS season!
I think that Fnatic is a slight downgrade from the old Fnatic.
I think Origin going to be better than last splits.
Definitely Origin has an advantage over other teams who changed their rosters. Taking two gambles has a higher chance of failure.
Reckless and Febvin both need to go more to the carry role.
I never really thought highly of Power Vivo because his champion pool is not that big and he's a very predictable player.
And here we are, on to Summoner's Rift to start off the season in Europe. And who could ask for a better game? Fnatic and Origin. And we are on to the Rift.
And wow, some fighting words straight out the gate. Febvin saying he doesn't really rate PoE. He's got LeBlanc, he's got the Assassin. Let's see if he can exactly make his statements come true.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
You can see the flags flying all the way around.
It's already turned into a premier rivalry between these two teams, even if it's short history. Some former players, of course. Everyone knows the story. We won't get into it too much, as looks like Fnatic wants to posture aggressively up on the top side.
And I must admit, I'm pretty surprised with the Fnatic composition, especially the last two picks coming in. I wasn't expecting to see Zac again. I think a lot of the early game junglers have so much power. Elise was open if they wanted it. Rek'Sai was open as well. It's been fantastic over in the LCK with the Tremor Sense. Now that you have less wards on the map. For now though, Fnatic are setting up for the standard invade level 1. Remember, minions do spawn faster now at 115. So once you go in and put down these wards for level 1, you're basically forcing yourself to either be a little bit late to your lane or to do a camp, or you have to go towards the top side with your dual lane. You see Fnatic now rushing down towards the bottom side. The minion's already on its way. Origin has some deep vision there, so they haven't spotted anything, and Fnatic didn't manage to really obtain a whole lot from this level 1.
Reckless gets spotted as well, so does Noxiac, so they know that this is being started on the red side. They move to set up a few wards of their own, but this is going to be a quicker push for OG.
Fnatic is definitely delaying the trip to the bottom lane from Reckless and Noxiac. Let's see if they lose anything down here. Might be one minion dropping before.
It's not the greatest loss. We'll have to see how Reckless takes advantage of the lane, anticipating the tier from Sven. So once this lane does play out a little bit, in theory, Reckless is going to have more damage to put down,
for sure,
despite the disadvantages that Noxiac's Poppy is going to have into Mithy's Trundle.
I definitely give the early to mid game to the Lucian. Gets the BF sword, a bigger spike. And when you got to stack over tiers, and Ezreal obviously doesn't give you a whole lot to offer. One thing there is changed with the minion waves is the first wave arriving. The minions now, or the melee minions, will always target each other. They won't go 3 guys against 1. So the RNG there used to be, if you were late to lane, where if you were unlucky, all the minions were hitting the same one and killing it, you lost some experience. That doesn't happen anymore in the first wave. That's also why Reckless and Noxiac could take that slow route, pull the red buff, and then go down to the bottom lane and still do fine in terms of experience.
Right, they didn't lose much off it. You could already see Sven had to be pushed back just a little bit. Mithy taking a lot of damage from Noxiac. Very aggressive on this Poppy support, and it's a good start for the new Fnatic bot lane.
Going to get themselves marginally ahead. We'll see how Mithy and Sven handle themselves. Luckily, Mithy will sustain up through that Trundle passive. But I want to also keep my eyes on Spirit, currently level 3, waiting to get access to Let's Bounce and the ridiculous range of that elastic slingshot. So I quite like the impact he can have in teamfights later in the game. Needs to make sure he can get through any pressure that Amazing wants to put down if and when.
Yeah, you really surrender a lot of early game pressure when you play a jungler like Zac, because again, he needs to scale up. Level 6 ganking is okay for him, but you want to get that slingshot leveled up. Extra range coming in for it. Amazing will have that control and should be able to keep the control for the entire early to mid game. And that's going to be needed because you want Orianna to scale up. You want the Israel to scale up. His Origin will have some slower laners in that sense compared to Lucian and LeBlanc.
Cheeky move from Spirit. Chases Amazing away from his own Raptor camp. Now back to the bottom side. Sven goes so low. Noxiac goes forward, gets the ignite on him. He's out of lane already. The pillar's there, but they couldn't stop that traffic.
So we talked about this in Champ Select. When you play against Trundle support, you need to always target that AD carry. If you start hitting the Trundle, he starts taking away some of your stats. He's very tanky, he's super annoying to deal with. So what they do here is they have the passive ready from Noxiac, and they time it. Reckless Space is saying go, or Noxiac is saying go. The aggressive lane now, and they time the hit from Poppy with the EQ, and also the dash forward from Reckless, proc the Thunderlords, and you get a lot of burst damage down. And this Ezreal, he can't really return any damage. He just has to dash away instantly. So good coordination from Fnatic, and a very different lane compared to the Yellow Star Reckless one we normally see, where it's farm first and then trade later.
So we'll find out if it can get Reckless and Noxiac any sort of advantage. Quickly mentioning the Keystones. Origin running Thunderlords. Small differences on the side of Fnatic. Strength of the Ages for Spirit Zac. Gamsu with that Olaf is actually running Fervor of Battle. So a little bit of a divergence. Not too surprising. Really. Down bottom, Sven below 100 hit points. Mithy's now caught between Reckless and Noxiac, but Amazing is coming to play. There's a teleport available if anyone wants it. Reckless takes a tower shot and gives up first blood.
And
it's not over yet.
Amazing, he's gonna go down too. Gamsu will pick him up on the back half of that one, a 1-for-1 trade. But it's jungler for 80. Spirit's looking to come in, and he's got Sven on his behind. Jumping in, blobs it up, and there's another kill. Now Mithy's got a flash away. Noxiac and Spirit still on the chase.
This entire setup from Fnatic, it starts in the top lane where Gamsu is pushing in that lane, and then he's telling his team, I can teleport now, I won't lose a whole lot. So Fnatic, they go aggressive. Again, they time the passive from Noxiac with the burst. They know Spirit is nearby, and Gamsu is already teleporting. So despite losing Reckless and giving first blood, they get 2 kills, and the only thing Origin gets back is some damage on his top tower, and of course Gamsu sacrificing a little bit of CS.
Yeah, but that's really nothing compared to that little bit of extra they got back for themselves. 2 kills to 1 on the score now, 400 gold in the lead, and Spirit already playing like his aggressive self, but this is a level of coordination that we did not see at IEM. This is a great start for Fnatic.
Let's see how they get the rest of their team ahead. Luckily, Spirit and Gamsu are the ones in the lead. Power of Evil showing off the Thunderlords plus Shockwave combo. Some lane dominance as expected, but look behind. Spirit, he's charging, the slingshot's fired!
Jumped on up to him, and he looks for more damage as Featherman comes on in, but Mithy's there for the backup, a little low. Gets stopped up by the traffic cone, so he's safe for now, but you've got to be careful. That Zac distance can be so ridiculous. Sven taking a lot of damage. There's that Thunderlord's proc.
For everyone at home watching, every time Fnatic goes in for gank or trade, try and look at the minimap. You can see 2 or 3 guys already moving just before it starts. Here, we had Noxiac roaming from bottom lane, and Gamsu was running from top lane, ready to collapse in the mid lane in case there was a long fight happening. So Fnatic are constantly moving around the map, trying to create plays. We talked about how Orianna and Ezreal, they want to scale up here. They don't really want to fight this early. Fnatic knows that, so despite having a weaker early jungler, they're not afraid to force fights.
And this is just so impressive, especially from the bottom side of Fnatic, because as you mentioned, with the Yellow Star lane, this was a much different team. We know that Reckless, despite his name, had always been a much more conservative carry. This time, it is a much different face. Yes, he's on Lucian. Yes, this is a super aggressive lane bully versus the Ezreal, but we're seeing him be completely unleashed with Noxiac here.
Luckily, Reckless was showing that when needed to play more aggressive, he could do so, and he picked that up last year. But if you look at some of the itemization, both Featherman and Power of Evil going to work their way towards those chilly ghosts, even with a nerf here in 6.1 still. Still Featherman.
I like it. I like it.
They're icy.
They are spooky still, though.
I'm not so...
It's a secondary...
Oh, look at PoE.
Hey, chains are on, but Featherman's out. Nice trade for him.
Yeah. Take a look down bottom. No trading going on. As Mithy, he's way out of line. He's sticking forward, actually going to start the fight. Pillar of Ice just to cancel the retreat, and Noxac and Reckless come away relatively okay. But look at Sven's item build. He's gone pickaxe over tier very early on.
Well, simply for him, he's realizing he's in trouble in the lane here. He also hasn't had enough gold to get a pickaxe, so he's going to delay that tier coming in for himself just to get some more combat stats right now at this very moment. Origin quickly realizing, okay, Fnatic are forcing fights. This is not the normal Fnatic bottom lane where we can make a gentleman's agreement and just farm for 20 minutes. It's not going to happen in this game, so definitely taking Origin by surprise in the start.
Yeah, and look at Spirit. He's got himself a 14 CS advantage. He's been involved in a kill already. Or has just hit level 6 ahead of Amazing on Lee Sin. This is a great start to the game, but now he needs to make use of this power, this level, this ultimate ability in terms of finding more kills and maybe even getting away with some dives if they want to.
He's still only going to get stronger and stronger. That's also why I'm very happy to see him not playing middle lane, not trying like all lane on the middle lane in the early game.
Oh, nice dodge. Febiven with the fancy fingers.
He's controlling this mid lane at the moment. Always trading with power people. However, it's hard to take down Orianna.
Yeah.
So she can always just farm back, and she's just going to look to push the wave over and over. See if you can keep Orianna stuck in that mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, OG really wants to maybe get these later later fights happening for them, but it's going to be a while before they can do that, especially with the late tier that's going to come out for Sven. In the meantime, this longer laning phase, Fnatic is perfectly happy with it. They're growing their gold lead by just a little bit. It's still only about 500, but they're off to a fantastic flying start, if you will, and they're keeping even in some places where it looks like they should be falling behind.
This is a mistake from Amazing, and this is something all players in solo queue and professional play, they should really remember. The fact we don't have green wards anymore. The pink wards are so important when they're being placed. You should always check.
Missed it.
Always check
Unlucky.
a bush like this one.
Wait. Oh, let's talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, down bottom, Miffy, he's looking for Reckless. Here comes Amazing.
Teleport, they've exhausted Reckless, so as around the backside, they locked him up and take him down. Shock one more up for the Origin boys with a teleport spent.
Rick is feeling confident he could push out the lane because Sven had gone back to base. And then Origin just collapses and kills him. Basically setting up a small trap for him. We'll take Dragon as well. We can trade for Rift Hill. I'll take Dragon number 1 over that.
Let's find out how they use it. Febiven going to come to help out. Power Evil's already completed his Chili Ghosts, as you will. And the first Rift Herald of European LCS secured. Buff donated to Febiven. I like that on the range champions. Allows you to help push towers a little more, but to Fisher, we were talking extensively about this buff earlier today. The additional attack speed on your minions, not the biggest of impacts.
No, I think the buff is just a little bit too weak because, again, it doesn't help your minions survive. And that's the big thing, you know, when you're against a mage like Orianna. Yes, you might buff up the attack speed of your minions, but if he can just put the ball on them and kill them instantly, like we see right here, those minions will never really do a whole lot. We might see it more coordinated later against low wave tier champions where you can build up a wave and buff them up and you can really push some towers. The 10-minute one is a reaction from Fnatic, saying, okay, you're taking Dragon because you got a kill. We take something on the top side.
Right. In the meantime, though, as long as this laning phase continues, Febiven's going to keep trying to bully out Power of Evil, and you can see it in his summoners, too, rocking that Ignite instead of the teleport that PoE has got. So a little double pressure on the side of OG, but you already knew they wanted to start fights instead.
Noxic is really sticking to the style he showed last year in the LCS. He's always looking to roam. Look how he's constantly sitting in the river. So whenever Reckless is moving anywhere, Noxic is already gone. Now, right in mid lane.
Febiven, he's gone way too low. Amazing's there. The Chili goes to slow him down. It's gonna hit him, and there's the clone showing the location. Boom, one more ball. In comes Spirit, but he is way too late to the party. Bounces away, but they're going for him. Amazing, pops the globules. Gamsu is 1v3. He takes out Power. He almost takes out Amazing, but he stays alive. Dodging away from the axe, and now it's a Soaz fest with him. And Spirit's going forward on Amithi. It is not over yet, guys.
Yeah, the Pillar of Ice interrupts the Elastic Slingshot. Gamsu and Noxiac looking for more. One undertow connects. Noxiac is trying to use that steadfast presence, but it will not interrupt. A flash root from Soaz locks Gamsu in place. Puts the tomb down, but it will not send Gamsu to his grave. And Spirit's going to be able to evacuate. I think he lost his passive. I want to double check that one. At the end of the day, chaos.
Yeah, a lot of close calls here, a lot of members almost dying. Gamsu just missed that one last axe here onto Amazing. But again, it starts with a fight in the mid lane, trading between these two mid laners. Spirit, he wants Soaz.
Looking for him now. The spooky ghosts are on, and Soaz is taken out by Febiven, a last shot. And they keep the action heavy.
So the spooky ghosts, they are nerfed. They are weaker on this patch. Obviously, they need to travel the full duration to do the 5-second slow and so on. The longer they travel, the better they are. You still need to be careful. You cannot just sit and wait in the middle of lanes because they will catch you. People will go for the kills. Let's see what happens. So it's Shockwave onto Febiven. Already starting the fight. Amazing is here, and Source is roamed down from top lane without teleport. And he just sets up this big fight with an early kill for Origin, and look how close it is. Gamsu with ulti. Olaf is super strong here in the early game. Takes down one. Almost takes down two. Dodging that one. And now we see the rest of Origin and Fnatic come roaming up with the moves.
Yeah, some props to Noxiac, keeping a little bit of interference in that bottom lane Joe before eventually peeling back. Look at Gamsu, he had a first item Spirit Visage as well. So it takes not the most amount of damage from this AP Lissandra, which is not a big surprise.
Obviously very strong against these double AP comps that Origin are running on their side. But also, we see with like Lissandra E, we see with Ezreal Blink and so on, they won't get interrupted by Poppy. It's dashes. So like you can still use these abilities to get away from Poppy or engage onto her.
Speaking of engaging on Poppy, Noxiac is going to take the route to knock Amazing into the wall. Spirit's slingshotting his way in. Sven's going to flash that one away. He gets kicked back by Amazing. A teleport coming in, and that is the cue for Fnatic to bow out of this fight. They don't have the members to deal with it right about now, and that could have been bloody.
I feel like these teams just want to fight.
There's no towers in this game.
All of the
That's
time.
all they
They're
want.
not pushing towers, anything. They're just fighting constantly against each other. They meet in the river and just go crazy.
They were watching the LPL this morning too, I think.
Let's find out if the fight can continue. Mithy and Sven, they've managed to back away. I retract the statement going forward. Mystic Shot is going for Sven. He on ships forward. I don't know if he wants that. They get the exhaust out of Mithy. Now Noxiac is moving backwards. He's got that giant hammer. He decides not to swing it and summon a spell blow. Mithy, flash and exhaust.
Legend spotted Spirit sitting in the river. He's been here for about a minute, walking between bot lane and mid lane looking for that one gang. Trading in top lane.
Gamsu is on to Soaz, and he is going to Frozen Tomb himself, but Gamsu can walk right into it, and he Ragnarok's his way to a kill! Fantastic. Not over yet, though, as Amazing looks to chase him down. Can the Viking get away from the Blind Monk? I don't think so. He sees him coming, and he should just... play! I don't believe it!
Amazing miss both his Qs. He didn't get any damage down to him, just auto attacks. And Gamsu, after a great play up in top lane at first, taking down Soaz, he gets second one. It's not holo yet, but Gamsu is starting off great.
Nobody expected Gamsu to be the new Huni, but boys, 4-0, 15 minutes into the game, I think we got ourselves a carry.
Well, let's see what he can do with the rest of the game. Noxiac's in trouble. Pillar of Ice will slow him down, but he's going to be able to make his way out, thanks to those boots of swiftness, which we are seeing a lot more on this patch. Cheaper boots, with the prevalence of slows in the game as well, just how valuable it really is.
Yeah, very cost efficient. When you see Spooky Ghost in every single game, that's obviously a slow, so slow resistance, 25% from the boots is super useful. Basically just taking a slot of the Moby boots for most supports. We see from top laners very often as well. It's just an overall great item now because the game is so evolved around slowing people.
You've seen just how effective Gamsu's build was earlier. We know how scary Olaf gets when he loses HP. Got some of that hit point regeneration. He's got
Amazing, he's gonna feel terrible about that fight.
Got Fervor of Battle as well, so starts to stack that one up on Soaz. Amazing, level 9, he's behind Spirit. Pulled in support of Mithy and Sven, who is moving up that top lane. There's a party in the top lane, and everyone from Origin is invited.
Yeah, but Spirit's gonna crash this one, I think. Here he comes, looking for Amazing. They're double teaming him this time. The Ezreal's not going to do a whole lot, but the rest of Origin are there. Febiven's around for moral support, but that's about it. Spirit is so low, and he's going to run straight to power people, but Febiven, he's there first. Soaz melting down, he's taken out. This fight is all kinds of chaotic as Febi's trying to run away. Sven and Amazing turn their attention back to the Blobules to just try and answer back. It's a 1-for-1.
So this was a play Origin learned at the World Championship. It was a play we saw a lot of the Korean teams do, where you push out your bottom lane, you instant recall, and your support and AD carry, they rush to the top lane. And then you surprise people. You force a fight with your top lane and jungler. They don't expect AD carry and support to show up. Suddenly you're 4 members. Fnatic, they jumped into it. It looked very scary at first, but they end up trading 1-for-1. Fantastic play by Febiven, and they get the bot lane tower. So despite jumping into a trap, Fnatic, they get out of it, and they get more from it.
Yeah, get themselves a 4,000 gold lead at the moment. as well as 2 of those outer turrets down. So for Fnatic, it's all going well. We're approaching 20 minutes on the clock. I think Origin has really managed to accomplish is secure that dragon earlier on. They do have 2 Rod of Ages for SOAS and PoE, so that is slowly starting to stack up, but their power spike is very, very delayed.
And that's, again, one of the things we talked about, like 5 minutes into the game, how Fnatic were looking to challenge more in the early game. That's why I had to question the Zac pick as well, being like, hey, what is your goal here? Do you want to fight early game? Do you want to have a scaling jungler? Whatever it is. Spirit has been very good at ganking and just being annoying in these fights and allowing Febiven to be allowing Gamsu to get in there with this Orb, who are so strong the first 25 minutes, but then obviously he also starts falling off. So Fnatic are playing a good early to mid game. They need to keep doing this, and Origin needs to say, we don't have to fight, guys. We are scaling up. We didn't need to pick some of these fights.
Origin trying to take the challenge, but Goat Sven, half his health bar is gone. They're just trying to zone him off of the dragon at this point, but they wouldn't say no to a couple of kills. So Fnatic should be able to pick up their first of the game. They will get those battle stats to match. And considering how the fights have been going already, you got to be worried if you're Origin at this point.
Hey, that was those faster chains in 6.1. that's all it was. Nothing to do with Febiven making a fantastic play. Got himself an Abyssal Scepter completed. Essence Reaver for Reckless, going to work his way towards one of those 2 Zeal-based items, expecting most likely the Rapid Fire Cannon, but the Static Shift did get a buff on this patch as well.
Give me Rapid Fire.
Yeah.
It's a better item, especially when it comes to your overall damage output. I do agree, however, if you need wave clear, go for the shift. You have Lucian, you have a LeBlanc, that's enough for Fnatic. They want to be stronger in the fights. And we're obviously super bored of all the fighting and all the action. Instead,
no, we're not.
Everyone wants to look at the minimap and talk about vision instead. That's a new thing in the off-season. Notice how teams are putting the pink wards very defensively. Because again, you have no green wards and you need to be able to spot what is happening. Our team's invading my jungle, so you can see all the way down for Fnatic in the river, defensive pinks. You see from Origin in their own jungle. This is something we will see in almost every single game. If you can break into that jungle and kill these pink wards here, it becomes so difficult to get the control back, because again, you can't just ward over and over again. You run out so quickly, and then you've lost entire control of your jungle. You see Spirit, dude right here, thank you.
And on the side of Origin, I want to see how they're going to kill this front line at Fnatic. MR on so many members. Spirit's going to slingshot in, but doesn't find any knockup. But take a look, 2 Spirit Visages. The Abyssal Scepter. Yeah, it was a bit harder than I thought.
There's only one Spirit, though.
I'm expecting to see a Locket at some point. Febiven, he's found SOAS.
My word! Febiven should have no trouble locking that one up. He takes the casual route and leads SOAS on a ride.
The spooky
ghosts are slowing him down. Febby is just having a leisurely stroll, and he actually gets locked up for a second.
He's got TP. But he did it at World. He's going to try get away. Down there, Spirit's in trouble. SOAS stays alive.
I can't believe it. He's just able to get away from that one, and this is why you can't take anything for granted on this. So nobody goes down in that ridiculous run back and forth, and everybody goes back home to reevaluate their options.
Still 2 summoners used from Source. The teleports are so important for them, especially because they are behind. They need to be able to defend multiple lanes and still teleport in and join a fight. That's gone now for Source. Febiven?
Oh, man, it manages to get out though.
It's fine.
That Sonic Wave had connected. Could have been some trouble. There's a replay of that team fight we missed while we were watching up in the top lane.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Spirit and the rest of Fnatic, we talked about how important it is to deny these pink wards now, because it's sort to get the vision. Engage with Power Revo. And
that was
basically the replay.
And then we saw what happened right after that. So we've in the other order.
Yeah, we've jumped out because Sven was killed. I'm going to assume by Gamsu, who's now 5-0-1. So that's what happened while we were in that replay. I imagine he just got run down. Arcane Shift isn't going to protect you from Ragnarok and Undertow.
That is one of the big things this Olaf pick does give Fnatic. When you're against a blue build Ezreal, if you have these slow champions who can get slowed down and kited super easy, blue build Ezreal would be absolutely fantastic. Olaf obviously ignores that. So he can't get onto Ezreal, he can stick to him. We're going to guess that's what happened. And he got the kill.
And, you know, if you step back and you look at the pick and ban, the Zac and Olaf as the last 2 lock-ins here for Fnatic, after seeing the majority of the Origin team composition, pretty smart picks. Helps you get around some of the engage problems for Fnatic with the long range of Zac. All of the CC and slows disregarded by Gamsu's Olaf. A little bit of credit to maybe some last-minute pivoting. We don't know if this was practice or let's make a decision when you see your opponents. But either way, it's working out, and so as he's being chunked out.
Yeah, he's already at half his health, and he's going to have to stay under the safety of that turret, backing away now. But, to Gamsu, that man on the map, it really shows how much well-placed faith Fnatic had in picking him up, because we mentioned earlier, he didn't really impress on Dig, but we knew he was an aggressive player.
It's game one.
It's true, but this is a great
have to
start.
make
Huni
your
was in
decision.
game one at some point, too. And it's worked out so far for them. Also, the Olaf pick, too. That kind of harkens back a little bit to earlier last year.
I agree.
We see Soaz having to tomb himself again, but he might be in a tomb after this. Able to get away, but not from Febivin. Taken out, and the Swag Ghosts come after the fact.
Origin is just being pressured in every single lane. They're sitting there, they're losing summoners, they're losing teleports, and it's just so easy for Fnatic to keep the control.
Oh, Amazing is going to get killed. All too easy for Fnatic.
Can't even do his own jungle camps anymore.
No, definitely cannot. Mithy wants to chase. Subjugate has been used. Two-shot barrage does not find a target. Down in the bottom lane, Gamsu has teleport and is continuing to pressure the wave clear of PoE. And as OGR spread thin, Reckless is hammering away the mid-inner turret.
Just a very classic 1-3-1 setup for Fnatic, where you push in every lane and then you start roaming through the enemy jungle, where you were taking out some of their wards and you just gank them. On the turrets, it doesn't matter. That's where the Zac really shines. He can dive so effectively. Also with the mobility off of LeBlanc, it's very easy for Fnatic around Febivin to create these picks here. And what a performance by both Febivin and Gamsu, but also full credit to Spirit on this Zac here. He's been everywhere on the map.
Yeah, for Fnatic. The next step now is looking towards those inhibitors, or maybe towards the Baron. A team that was so well known in the 2015 season for their effective and powerful Baron use. That could be the next step to closing this game out. They've already got the lanes under their control. They've already got the massive advantage with the 7,000 gold lead. And that can be the tool to help you finish it off.
Yeah, we've looked at this a lot from Fnatic's point of view, and we were considering that they weren't going to be the favorite necessarily going into this game. But how does Origin come back? They've got themselves into a fairly deep hole here, but they still have a wombo combo team fight. How do they force Fnatic to play that game?
The thing I like to see from Origin is you keep 1 or 2 defensive wards around Baron, but you don't really go in towards it because you don't want to risk a big open fight. And you just honestly try and play as defensive as possible while keeping vision in your own jungle. So you can start spotting when Fnatic are moving and trying to set up their ganks, because you have teleport now for Soaz. And then you try and you basically set a bit of a trap. If you see an aggressive move, you teleport in behind with Lissandra. You have Amazing already up there, and you surprise Fnatic by pulling 5 guys towards maybe 2 or 3 members. You might have to sacrifice a tower, but that's what can open up for a potential Baron in 5-6 minutes time for Origin. They need to get 2 or 3 kills and then an objective. Otherwise, this is gonna keep happening, because Fnatic will keep the 1-3-1 going. Febivin can outtrade anyone in the 1v1, and he's just getting so much damage on towers. So Origin are really in a tough spot.
Well, let's see if they can get a kill on Gamsu. Gamsu's got Ragnarok up, but he's got 4 members of Origin to deal with. He's going to be running away. In fact, he's going to eventually go down 1 or 2 more shots. Kill credit to Sven. Look at the middle lane though. Fnatic, they're pressuring the turret.
But this is exactly what we just talked about. Origin, they know they cannot keep defending towers on their own, so they have to go together and gank someone. And now they can take a fight, 5 versus 4.
For Spirit right now, he's going to have to just flash right away. And will they slip through the fingers of Origin here? The big Poppy ult, the hammer says nay, and you will lose no more than Olaf today.
It is still great seeing Origin understanding what is our way back in this game. It's not sitting back and basically just looking at our towers die, because the tier 2 towers and tier 3 towers are also weaker normally than we do.
B-word.
This is the Baron.
It's the B-word. 12 seconds before Gamsu's up. He has teleport
This is
available.
going to go wrong for Origin. This is so risky.
This is incredibly risky.
The rest of Fnatic, they're coming in. 4-man team. Let's Bounce is available. Mithy is already peeled an Origin. They want the fight.
They're turning for it. There goes the True Shot Barrage, but in comes Spirit. Soaz is still taking, and now Amazing manages to pick a shutdown. Noxiac will take out Soaz in the back. Reckless sends a calling, forcing a flash, several away, but Gamsu is not going to let him get out of there. Down goes the troll. Spirit still ticking, but Fnatic look like they have taken this fight.
Sven wants to try pick one on the back end, but it won't work. A 2 for 2, but it was Origin that peeled off Baron and got themselves a kill.
Origin really feeling the pressure. Felt like they almost had to go for this Baron here to either get a fight, 5 versus 4, just before Gamsu respawn. Obviously, he had to teleport. Again, though, Fnatic have been playing the map well. Origin trying to get back in this game, but it's so difficult for them. Let's see the fight again. Soaz onto Febivin. The remaining damage deals are coming fairly late, and they do get him down, but they invest everything onto that one kill, and now Gamso's here, full HP, overly fed Olaf. Piece of cake for him.
Oh, that's just brutal.
And then during the course of that fight, Reckless actually dealt 3,200 damage, I'm being told from our stats guy, more than half of his team's total. And you can see he wasn't caught by the shockwave, he was skirting on the back line. Origin's focus on Febiven just gave Reckless all of the time to get the damage down, and he made it count.
Yeah, this Lucian has been absolutely ridiculous. I bet Forgiven's watching right now, just salivating.
It's easy to be ridiculous when you have such a fed, such a strong front line. Spirit and Gamzu are such big threats and problems by themselves that Origin have to deal with 1,000,001 problems. And Lucian is just another one added to the list.
Yeah. This Lissandra pick has not necessarily panned out all that well either. He's been forced to use his ultimate very defensively, oftentimes just because he's getting chased down by Gamsu or Febiven. Soaz has not had that much of a chance to shine this game and pull that signature crazy aggressive style that he likes, as Fnatic now getting chased away by Origin on a power move.
There's no real support from the rest of Fnatic. Reckless is peeling away. Febiven was coming from the bottom lane. Origin didn't really commit, but they're still holding themselves 8,000 gold down. 30 minutes up, Baron's still standing, and we're going to start the Baron dance for the next few minutes.
Yeah, that's why I like that play from Origin, trying to force something in mid, because you want to keep that control of mid lane. See, Gamsu, he's trading again.
Here comes Spirit, he's kicked away, but Amazing still being chased on. Soaz is gonna get evaporated. With a little bit of help from the rest of Fnatic, Spirit takes that one in a 5v4 now. Febiven a little bit extra damage, but he dodges away looking for Power of Evil. Now the calling went out, but it wasn't enough to finish him off. The ball will zone, but Origin are forced inside their own base. It is a dire situation for them right now.
Fnatic onto that inhibitor turret. This will fall shortly, if not interrupted. Origin trying to mount the smallest defense. Soaz will be up in a few seconds. He almost goes down. The shield is up. Spirit manages to get him. Let's bounces inside the face of Origin, and that could be it. Fnatic take the inhibitor. They've got a minion wave Conga lining up behind them, but they will play this one safe, and they will back out to finish later today.
They are 30 minutes into this game, a massive power move for them, 3 kills, inhibitor gone, and you can guess what's on everybody's mind right now. It's the big purple worm. They don't even need to worry about this. They can pick someone off, they can start it. The game is in their hands.
This is the way back for Origin, though. This is their chance. If they can get something here, if they can steal that Baron.
Noxiax just buying time here.
Basically the only cover. Power of Evil has done it before.
And he's not going to do it today. Baron secured by Fnatic at the cost of Noxiax's life. He's magical, he's not that magical.
Gotta call that one worth, though.
For Fnatic, that's it. Super minions in the middle lane. Baron, they will have TP up in about a minute and a half's time, and they can just keep pressuring those lanes more.
Febiven has been insane in this game here. The confidence on this guy. Huni is no longer there. So the overall early game plan is not just like camp for top lane, you know, sit and farm mid lane and whatever. We know Febiven can play both styles. He can play aggressive, he can play defensive. He talked about how he had to step up and become more of a carry for this team now. And what a performance from him. Of course, for Gamsu as well, we have to keep highlighting it. But this LeBlanc pick has been so annoying for Origin to deal with. He just constantly jumps in, and he might not always get the kill, but he's always forcing a summoner, forcing someone back into the base, and that gives full map control to Fnatic every single time.
Canceled the back just by showing face. Febiven has become an incredibly scary, scary person on this LeBlanc, and we knew he was capable of this. Gamsu, that threat is there, of course. Reckless still dealing this damage. I mean, Origin have so much to fear from this roster, and with Baron buff on 4 members, this Dragon is completely free.
Great performance from Fnatic so far. First showing since IEM Cologne, and we heard Febiven saying in the pre-game video, the matchup, that never really rated PoE, showing the impact he can have. And this LeBlanc was, you know, second rotation. Lucian LeBlanc were the 2 champions picked, Febiven and Reckless, and they are both performing admirably.
Yeah, and everyone on this team really is doing their job. We had questions about Spirit and Gamsu, how well they were going to be able to communicate. Obviously, Fnatic have done the Korean pickup before, but it seems to have gone completely perfectly for them so far. This is game 1, as you mentioned, but it is looking near flawless against what many consider to be the top-tier team in Europe.
Sven is like, nope, I'm dealing with that one again. Fnatic is pushing on his top tower. Remember, again, these towers are a little bit weaker. Right now, Reckless will be able to take it down super quick if he ever gets close enough. You can see how Soaz is always flying away the claw, just being like, you're gonna hit the tower. That's the engage. Obviously, QSS is there for Reckless. Fantastic item now, by the way, when you upgrade it. adding some lifesteal on it was very, very big.
We'll see whether or not Soaz can actually get enough damage down onto Reckless or Feathervin. But may not be enough because Gamsu will just be there to reply. Now that Gamsu has teleport, he's come back to push the bottom lane with the last sort of third of that Baron buff timer. And for Fnatic, they're looking to break open the base further. Super Minions on the steps of the middle lane. And it is a long season, 18 games, 9 weeks, and Origin didn't have the strongest start as far as training is concerned, but for Fnatic, another very big message right out the gate. Up in the top lane, Spirit, he wants to look to finish. They've broken the inhibitor.
Talking about messages right now, they walk away and then walk right back on in. Origin thinking twice about this one. Shockwave not going to connect, forces the flash. Amazing. Reckless is right in the front, but he has absolutely no fear in here. Another inhibitor is going to go down. A couple of nails already in this coffin of Origin, but they are trying to claw their way back out. Soaz goes down, taken out by the Viking. Noxiac actually getting the kill credit. Feathervin going in, going back. They just can't catch these guys.
Sven gets chunked out real low, and even though Reckless was burst down, that Mercurial Scimitar allowed him to get out of the CC, get to safety, and it meant Soaz went down as well. Minions took a Nexus turret, as well as that top inhibitor turret going down, but crucially, the inhibitor still stands. Origin, they are not going down quietly, but my word, do they have an uphill battle.
One tower left for Origin. Luckily, only Super Minions coming through the mid lane. And we kept talking about how they wanted to scale up here with the Orianna, with the Ezreal. Even more so because Power People went for Rod of Ages after, of course, it will become a super strong item here in the offseason, but it does slow you down. And really for Origin, they've just been too focused on getting towards the late game, and then full credit to Fnatic for constantly looking to force fights. And whenever Origin doesn't need to dodge, he doesn't care. But whenever Origin felt like now we can take a fight, Fnatic had already roamed. Noxiac was leaving bot lane, Gamsu was leaving top lane before fights even started, so they were always there with more members, and they could therefore win the fights, force Origin to fall so far back on the map, and that's really what's been a big, big issue for Origin in this game.
There's nowhere further to fall back to if you are Origin or an Origin supporter.
Hide in the fountain.
Hide in the fountain. That's not going to pay off if you want to pick up that big W. Feathervin is starting to hit the middle inhibitor. Gamsu again, he's going to be pushing down bottom. He's got TP if it's needed. And the rest of Fnatic pushing up top. Good control, good decision making, and Soaz, he's looking to engage. They range to root Noxiac, but that's not who you want. Soaz gets burst down already. Amazing's looking to knock away Reckless. Gamsu's still in the base. There's a stun there onto Power of Evil, as now Origin are peeling backwards.
The whole team is just too darn slippery. Quick shot, down goes the inhibitor in the bottom side as Gamsu takes it out, and he rejoins the fight, wrecking and rolling all the way through him. That is an ace. That will be the game. The last inhibitor, the last Nexus turn is going down, and you had question marks? I don't think so. Guess what, boys? FNC is back for the summer of 2016. Or spring, rather.
You almost had it, guys. Pirate, I
tried.
blame you. That was an exciting
I tried. I got too excited.
An exciting game, and on the looks of Fnatic, just grins all round. Clean finish, safe finish, and smart play all the way through. Spirit and Gamsu there, leading the way.
Fnatic has now won 21 regular season games in a row. 18 in the summer, obviously had a few left over as well from the spring, and now they win again. This team, despite rebuilding, losing support staff, manager is gone, head analyst is gone, 3 new members, Captain Shockhole is no longer there.
Yeah.
This game had great communication from Fnatic. They were calling when could they teleport, when could they roam, so they could always be there 2 or 3 extra guys, surprising Origin, taking some of the kills, never really falling behind at any point. And then, as we mentioned, lack of vision, obviously, in this meta makes it so difficult once you fall behind to really claw your way back in. You can't see anything on the map, your towers are weaker. It becomes so hard for Origin to do anything then.
And some serious faces on the side of Origin, but big smiles with the handshake towards the end. It was a rough start to the season for Origin, but it is a marathon, as we've said a few times. The fans in the audience, exceptionally happy to see Fnatic. Basically what you expect from Fnatic. That level of play.
Sure.
At this point in time.
When you look at the name, that's what you expect.
That is what you expect, and that is the performance delivered. Daylor, happy with the new face, the new captain. Reckless talking in the offseason about how he's going to accept more responsibility and how he's going to step up, start to help fill the shoes left by Yellowstar.
Yeah, and clearly that experience shown through. I mean, if you took all the tags off the names, maybe you'd be able to tell some of the stylistic differences, but that teamwork was so trademark Fnatic, you cannot tell the difference.
Absolutely fantastic performance. Origin takes on H2K tomorrow, a team we expected to be even stronger than Fnatic coming into the split. With that new lineup as well, the new super team together with Vitality, Origin has some very, very tough games ahead of them. And losing that first one, because like coming into this game, I would almost go as far and say that Fnatic had nothing to lose. Because if they lost Origin, well, that was expected. New members from Fnatic and Origin again, top 4 team at Worlds and so on. And if Origin lost the game, well, it would look awful on Origin, and people would be like, oh yeah, Fnatic, yeah, told you so, I expected, it's Fnatic, it's Daylor.
They set the expectations well. They said, we're going to
Are
worry
you guys
about
surprised or what?
No, not at all. Maybe the way they did it. Maybe how quickly they did it. Yeah. No, I know that look. That look says, no, you didn't.
No, it's great performance, and I think it's very exciting.
I had it written right here. Fnatic would take it.
One of the big things about the offseason, there was this sort of sentiment that all these star players had left Europe and we're going to be in shambles. But actually, the top 4 teams look very, very strong.
Yeah, more star players than ever.
To see how well these teams perform, especially if the competition goes deeper down the ladder. Last year, it didn't go as deep, and EU had 2 semifinalists at Worlds. What are we going to do in 2016? That's the question. And this is the road that'll figure that out.
Well, let's hear it from them, though. Like, we're going to send a side stage where Pulse is going to talk to one of the newest members of Fnatic.
Thanks, guys. I'm joined by Noxiac, the support player from Fnatic, newly joining the team. And first off, Noxiac, you guys just destroyed Origin, one of the teams we were expecting to be extremely strong coming into the new split. What were the factors that just made your team so strong opening in the first week?
We had the luck that Gamsu played really, really good this game, so it was easy to snowball for us. We made a double kill 1v2, so it was like just snowballing from there. Like the other lanes went pretty much equal. And we just used this one advantage that we got, and we just tried to snowball it, and snowball is clean.
Yeah, I mean, Gamsu went massive in that game, but talking about those Koreans, how is it like communicating with them in-game? How good is the communication between you guys and the Koreans? Is there a divide there, or is it just super easy to talk to them?
I would say in the first day when they arrived, it was like the communication was like really low, and we had like use our hands and whatever to understand each other. But like in 1 week already, it improved so much, and it's really fast improvement, so I'm looking forward to the next weeks.
Oh, interesting. Like, I would like to expand upon that, though, like, kind of behind the scenes, because Daylor mentioned publicly that he felt that the team needed to be, like, recreated from scratch. Do you feel like the team is getting there, or is there still a lot of room to, like, improve on?
There's still a lot of work, for sure, because we just played, like, 1 week or a bit longer. But I think we can do it. Like, I see a lot of potential in every player, and we are pretty good.
Okay, I got one last one for you here, Noxiac. You first picked the Poppy, and you put a lot of priority on that pick, and it's extremely strong from what we saw. What to you makes Poppy so good right now?
Just the damage in general, the laning phase is pretty good, and the teamfight utility, what you can offer, you can zone. With the ults, you can peel for your carries with the W. You have so much damage, like it's just an incredibly strong champ. I think it's the best support right now.
Well, it looked very good. Once again, congratulations on that win. We're going to send it over to the guys at the analyst desk to break down that game.
Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you very much, Pulse and Noxiac there. And I got to go to you first, Crepo, because we talked about it beforehand. Poppy was your pick to watch in support. Boom, and it happened.
Yay, it happened. No, the beauty of that pick actually comes something I didn't really expect with 6.1. So Fnatic first picks Poppy right now, and then later on they immediately dropped Lucian. Usually that means the other team would go with MF, but because MF is so weak right now in 6.1, you kind of want to go Kalista, but the Poppy W hard counters Kalista in lane because each individual hop from Kalista is counted as a gap closer, so it's really hard to play that. Then Origin was kind of forced to play Ezreal, which was a weaker support, so I like not only the pick in itself, but also the impact it had in the pick and ban phase. And then what they did at the end then is, so they had a good pick to block, a couple of blockers for Origin in the start, and then at the end they picked up the Zac and Olaf, which I liked even more because Olaf just runs through all the kite and the zone that Origin has. He can just ramp in, and Zac kind of skips that part. Like usually if you want to walk into an Orianna, into a Lissandra, into a blue build Ezreal, you kind of get poked out and you get pushed back. But Fnatic just found 2 picks in the entire pool that just negate that entirely. Either you jump over it or you just run straight through. So beautiful pick and ban phase from Fnatic and just solid concrete play, yeah.
And I feel like a lot of it was because of just how much focus Origin had to put kind of on Gamsu, but on the flex picks, the Lulu ban, the Gangplank ban, the Rise ban, these very strong picks that we've seen, you know, not just on 6.1, not just 5.24, but for a long time now. Origin forced to ban them out, then the Poppy goes away, and they're left thinking, okay, well, we kind of want the Trundle, we want the ability to just deny that kind of backline focus by maybe picking a Lissandra, try and lock somebody down, but ultimately, it's just very difficult to play against a champion like Poppy, who not only can facilitate her carries, but lock down the enemy dashes and that kind of thing as well.
Well, good pick and ban phase coming out of Fnatic, and Noxiac saying there, well, we got ahead. Lucky that Gamsu played really well and we snowballed, but let's look at that explosive early game, because you can't just attribute that all to Gamsu. It is a team that showed up in that bottom lane and with the ganks coming in.
Yeah, it started off the harass from Lucian Poppy here. We see the passive from Poppy when she controlled the shield. Every auto attack actually pokes out Sven, but then Rekkles goes in a little deep, trying to get the first spot, because that was a good gang by Amazing. What I like the most here is after 1 week getting Gamsu to Europe, he teleports, Soaz doesn't. Even though that play, that gank was set up from Origin. It was Amazing running into the bot lane, so Soaz should have been there, and we see some lacks in communication. Spirit comes in with a good gank.
And that good gank is all on the vision. He was just able to get right into Tribush. This time Soaz does teleport down into the fight, and it goes a lot better for Origin when you look at just the start of that. But at this point, Fnatic are already moving for the trade for Rift Herald for Dragon, which typically you'd say Dragon is the better play here for building a longer game, but Rift Herald is, you know, a nice thing to take at the same time.
Yeah, Fnatic cross map here, good teleport from Soaz, but they pick up the Dragon, but it's kind of too late because Gamsu was already ahead from that play. He now gets to farm even more in the top lane, and then we see Febiven right here getting caught out. Amazing chases, but I think we will see another teleport from Gamsu coming in, and this may be the actual pivotal fight in the game.
Oh yeah, for sure. At this point, Febiven, he knows he's already down, but he's just buying time for the rest of his team to get there. Spirit doesn't even get taken down properly. He goes into passive, and Gamsu is creating so much of an issue right here.
Yeah, almost a no-scope on Amazing right there. Even later, Spirit, he doesn't go down. He actually goes into lane and kills Soaz about 30-40 seconds later, who was lingering around for some more farm because, again, he wants to catch up with that Gamsu. Gamsu teleports in 2 instances, and then phenomenal laning. Overall, just... He left a mark on this game.
And that wasn't it for Gamsu. He really stamped his mark with Gamsu just outplaying, you know, 2 versus 1 in that top lane. And this is just a beauty to behold. So Gamsu as a player loves to play carries, and I was wondering coming into this, how is he going to be able to do that on a team like Fnatic? They tried with Huni and Riven. Olaf seems to be the way. Hits that Ragnarok, runs in for Soaz, takes him out under tower, and here is some of the 6.1 changes in action. Fervor of battle on Gamsu, gets the extra attack speed from his own passive, the lower he goes, and also just uses the vicious strikes, gets that lifesteal, just smacks Amazing down, and man, just the changes that happened on 6.1 just were so beneficial for that situation right there. It's so good from Gamsu. Finds
it seems like they nerfed Lee Sin too on 6.1. It seemed incredibly hard to hit that Q, but no, yeah, Amazing helped him there a little bit. But yeah, Gamsu just phenomenal performance coming in here in Europe. We expected initially in our preparation for Fnatic to play a more tank-heavy top style. Yeah. While they publicly came out and they say, well, Febiven and Rekkles, they will have to carry the game. Rekkles did very well, a lot of damage in teamfights, not very visible, but just did a lot of damage. So we expected a tank from Gamsu. He brings out the Olaf, which is a good hybrid, and what impressed me the most from Fnatic was in the mid game, the way they pushed their advantage. They were pushing all 3 lanes, they used deep vision well, they had good control of pink wards, and fascinatingly enough, they picked up 0 blue trinkets, I think, towards the end, so they really relied on those longer invisible wards and not to easily clean out blue ones to push their advantage, and they were, after the early game, just in complete control of the game.
Yeah, well, very, very impressive performance from Fnatic. There's some work still to be done for Origin, but not looking horrible in any sense of the word. A lot of exciting matchups coming up, and with the first Smash Nexus of 2016 on the books, it's time to look towards our next matchup, where we'll see the new Elements versus G2 Esports. Don't go anywhere. Our coverage of the European LCS continues right after this.
It's time to load up on a Summoner's Rift and kick off the 2016 LCS season. But they're going for him. Amazing. Pops the globules. Gamsu is 1v3. He takes out power. He almost takes out Amazing, but he stays alive. Dodging away from the axe. Can the Viking get away from the blind monk? I don't think so. He sees him coming, and he should play. I don't believe it. Forcing a flash several away, but Gamsu is not going to let him get out of there. Down goes the troll. Down goes the inhibitor in the bottom side as Gamsu takes it out and he rejoins the fight, wrecking and rolling all the way through him. Guess what, boys? FNC is back for the summer of 2016.